Woo! Intro music and everything. Fancy. The things you can get accomplished as you're sitting around watching football mindlessly on a weekend. Hey, welcome to your Monday morning, doing things a little bit differently today, starting things off. Conversations, just sort of, getting caught up, what's going on, opportunities to sort of talk about stuff. A little thing I'm calling, let me just say this about that. I got a couple of topics that I'll put out there. Things that if you want to talk about, you can. By all means. Our phone number, by the way, 613-604-6464. There's also, or there should be, let me just log on to Facebook right now. There should be a link in whether you're watching on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube or wherever you're watching. Yeah, there it is. There's a little link. So if you want to actually, be on video-wise and opine, you can just click that link and you'll be admitted into the waiting room, nice little green room. You can eat all the M&Ms you want, and we'll bring you onto the show to hear your thoughts on whatever in just a little bit. What a crappy looking week. I hate to start things off on the negative side, but oh my gosh. Kind of overcast right now. 6 showers throughout the day. It's not going to get much warmer. They say, by the way, the rule of thumb is when the temperature gets to be around 7 steadily, that's when you want to do your tire changeover, whether it's from fall to winter or winter to all season, right around 7 degrees. We do recommend, of course, McCarthy Automotive. 1150 Heron Road, McCarthyAutomotive.ca. 9 tomorrow, some showers. Wednesday, showers, and 12. Thursday, sunshine, and 13. There you go. Showers back for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, though. It's kind of like if you watch the San Francisco 49ers game, it's kind of like that. Well, okay, not kind of like that. That was a downpour. That was insane, that downpour. Any comments you've got, of course, you can post those as well on your whatever you're watching. Again, YouTube, Facebook, etc. There you go. So Lainey hey, look at that. You go down in history, Lane. First comment I've posted on our new, let me just say this about that. She says, yep, I've booked for Friday for my tires. Woo-wee, new rubbers. Good times. Craig, good morning to you. Craig's asking, how's Lowell? From all reports, Craig, thank you for asking. Sounds like he's doing all right. I was hoping to get in and see him on the weekend and fix up his tablet, etc. But I guess that was unnecessary because nobody got back to me. I did get a picture of him, though, up and walking around, which is awesome. So there you go. So from the sounds of things, Craig, things are good. Things are good. Progressing nicely there. Good morning, Constance. Lizzie says both vehicles done Monday last week. Ha, 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 new rubbers. Yes, Tara, I'm very funny. Chrissy says, something I would like your opinion on. Saw this post this morning about Marcel Desjardins. My opinion is, why wouldn't they wait until the end of the year? Thoughts? Yes. Okay. So that was news I posted this morning, bright and early. In fact, that news broke just before I got to post my morning joke. My routine is post morning joke, then get into the news of the day. Not today. So Michel Desjardins, the only GM that the Red Blacks have had in their history, showed up at the park this morning and was relieved of his duties, told it was a team decision, so they're moving on. Why now? I don't send a message to the team, I guess, give them even more time to hit the ground running when they can talk to any potential candidates. I don't know. I think it's just more of a send a sign to the team that, they recognize that there's a problem, they're working on it. Hopefully that translates onto the field. Don't know why now, but there you go. Good morning, Chrissy. She's happy to see me. It's been a while. Aw, it has been a while. So some of the topics I want to put out there. Day 1 of end of restrictions here in Ontario as far as restaurants and gyms and casinos. Will you be going to a restaurant? Will you be going back to the gym? Will you be going to the casino? How do you feel about that? I got to tell you, went to Petit Bill's Bistro on Friday. It was Sue's birthday. Restaurants, in my opinion, have always had a good handle on this COVID-19 thing. There was nobody at the table beside us. There was, it was pretty much every second table. Food, of course, fantastic. So let me see. We had the seafood chowder, and I had the potato bacon soup special. Oh my God, so good. She had a bottle, not a bottle, a big glass of it was a white wine from France that she recognized. I'm not a wine guy. I don't know. I had a Manhattan. I will say this, Petit Bill's Manhattans, second only to those of my father, who makes one hell of a good Manhattan. So yes, they're second only to that. Main course, she had it was a trout. It was like a pan seared trout. Looked so good. Looked so good. It had like a little breaded topping to it. Unbelievable. I had the fish and chips. You can never go wrong with that. And the dessert was like a lemon cheesecake with like a raspberry drizzle on top. Fantastic. So next time we go to Petit Bill's, it's going to be shoulder to shoulder potentially. How do you feel about that in a restaurant? I mean, we've been doing it at hockey games for a while, although only 9,000 people, I guess, showing up at the hockey game. Craig says no and no to that. I was okay on a patio. Because the whole outdoor thing, it was and like going to a football game, I have no problem being at the game. It's the getting to and from that I don't. I just can't bring. I'm not ready for it yet. So interested in your comments on that. Feel free to chime in. Again, 613-604-6464 is the number. Let me just find that here. Put it up on the screen. Boop. There we go. Of course, you can just post your comments on whatever social media channel you are watching as well, or click the link and join me. So yeah. You can full on for restaurants, full on for the gym. On top of that, Premier Ford saying he'd like to be done and has a plan to get us out of this thing by March, which coincidentally, right around the time that there'll be an official election call for the province. Oh, you didn't know there was going to be an election? In March, June, actually, and they're already running campaign ads. That's enough of that. God. Do we have such an inferiority to the complex to the states now that we need to be running political ads like 6 months, 7 months, 8 months ahead of an election? I posted this on Facebook last week, wanting your opinion on that. How do you feel about those campaign ads? And by and large, people are like, yeah, no, too much, turning them right off. Thank you very much. Lizzie brings up something interesting. She says, been going since they reopened. Support local. The places we went had great COVID protocols in place. Felt very, very safe. Lizzie, I've been trying to support as well, as much local as I can. The whole COVID check-in thing at Petit Bill's, effortless. Just, make sure you go to the Ontario website. Just Google it. And you can get your vaccination certificates re-emailed to you with a QR code. You take a picture of it with your phone. It puts it right into your health. If you've got the iPhone, right into your health app. And you can also save the PDF. And that's all you do. You show up and bloop, there's my QR code. They scan it. You're good. You're in. Takes no time at all. But interesting to hear you talk about supporting local. So with the whole talk of the border being able to reopen in November, I am stunned after all of this time to see person after person after person talking about how excited they are to be able to go to the States and do all kinds of shopping. Yay, shopping. I'm going to go spend my money in a foreign country. What happened to this whole support local thing, like Lizzie just articulated? I mean, the hell that our local but I'm going to save money. What a slap in the face to all these businesses who have been trying to figure out a way to survive through all this. Yeah, but I can save 15, 20%. Yeah, or you could spend money here and maybe save a job, save a business. I'm just saying. Of course, I say this as someone who's likely to log on to Amazon and do all of this Christmas shopping without really caring where the stuff comes from. Just give me my stuff. Just give me my stuff. And then there's Julie. Yeah, my packages in the USA have been there for 19 months. You're one of those, I assume, Julie, who then has got a P.O. box or something over on the Ogdensburg side. I'm stunned. I'm stunned at that whole attitude. And then when you say to people, what about supporting local? Yeah, well, if their prices weren't so high. Like it's the business's fault. Anyway, so how do you feel about that? Feel free to chime in. 613-604-6464 is the number. You can also click the link and join me via video conference if you'd like. So there's that. There's Marcel Desjardins, no longer the GM. Let's talk about Kingston. Another weekend of parties in Kingston. This one pretty much, it seems to be in more like a retaliatory kind of fashion. Thumbing their nose at the fact, police were very aggressive with our homecoming, so we're going to have another party and taunt them. What do we do about this whole party thing going on with the universities? I mean, it's not a new thing. It seems to be getting a little bit more out of control and a little bit more confrontational, though. Whose responsibility is that? I mean, we as the taxpayers, we're paying for the police, obviously, to get in and patrol this. In the situation of Kingston, they had to bring in, they brought in mounted police from the Toronto Police Service, Kingston Police, Brockville Police, OPP, I'm sure were there, probably some RCMP. I don't have any information to say Ottawa was involved, but why wouldn't we be? I mean, this all costs money, and for what? Like, at the end of the day, this ties into another thing that I noticed that I've talked recently about. In fact, it was Friday I talked about, how your employment situation can change, code of conduct, etc. Little things, a new owner comes in and takes over the company you're working for, and they've got new policies, whatever else, and comparing that to the requirement for some employees to be vaccinated for things. Kelly's listening in the bath. Don't think a Zoom call is the way this program is headed. Hey, Kelly, you get to set the tone. Frankly, this is a brand new part of the show. So if you'd like me to end up in Facebook jail right off the get-go, hey, chime on in. You can be strategic with Mr. Bubble, I'm sure. Yeah, we were talking about the hospital workers on Friday and how, look, a term of, one of the conditions now of employment is you must be vaccinated. You're around sick people and potentially bringing disease your way, and the change in that. Well, comes news today, saw this in the Globe and Mail. They are talking about, in the province of Ontario, putting a ban on non-compete clauses for employees. I don't know if you've ever been subject to a non-compete clause. I was when I was terminated from my radio position. They pay you for a certain period of time, but the agreement there is you forfeit any of that money should you get a job with any company that competes against us. It's a little it's a little overwhelming. So you're saying I got to sit here for a year and not work? So they're looking at doing some stuff about that. How do you feel about that? But the real thing that I would love to get your thoughts on, and it's Monday, so let's keep this, kind of lighthearted. Are you doing Halloween? Like, will you be handing out treats this year? I've been talking to some of the neighbors. So neighbors on either side of me, one is decorated to the nines. It looks amazing. It's fantastic. Cobwebs in the shrubs, skeletons, ghosts hanging from trees. It's fantastic. I love doing that stuff for Halloween, especially when Halloween falls on a weekend. I used to love it. This house doesn't lend itself to it like the townhouse we used to live in up until 17, 18 years ago. It was perfect because there was a room right over the front door. And so I would hook up so I actually had like a dummy with like a green mask, and I would put like these little light up eyeballs in it, right? And I put a little speaker underneath. So I would play music. So I had a speaker on the roof playing music, and I had a speaker underneath this dummy. And I would be up in the room above the front entrance with the blinds tilted so I could see down, so I could see what the kids were wearing, right? Hello, Superman. Right? And the voice comes out from behind the dummy. My favorite moment was when one of the parents walking by is howling, absolutely laughing their butt off because their kid is terrified of walking up the sidewalk, which is what Halloween is supposed to be. Don't give me this, we can't scare kids. It's damaging to their psyche. Don't scare the kids. Come on. I mean, don't terrify them. But a little fright is fun. That's why we have these haunted houses, this sawmill thing. Saunders Farm has got their thing going on. But yeah, so I used to sit there, and then the kids that were brave enough would walk up to the door, and they would actually have a conversation, so I could hear their voice coming up the stairs, and I could lean into the microphone and talk to them. So I would do this, and there's this parent watching his kid try and debate as to whether or not they're going to walk up the sidewalk and actually go get candy at my house. And the dad yells, "I love your spirit." And of course, "And the spirit loves you." This house just doesn't allow me to do it. It's not set up the same way. So I miss it so much. But yeah, so one of my neighbors apparently is doing Halloween, the other neighbor not doing Halloween. Literally, I feel in the middle of this whole thing. I don't think I want to. Especially since I've been watching the numbers dwindle over the past few years. Do you keep track of how many candies you hand out every single year? Like when we first moved in here, it was about 200 candies we would hand out. Now it's 30, 40. Oh, and it's torture too, because somebody's got to eat the difference, right? Oh, somebody has to. By and large, that's me. And by and large, no pun intended. Yeah. So Lisa says she's on the fence about that. The conversation now in amongst some of our posters is best. Okay, let's go there. Best Halloween candy, worst Halloween candy to give out. When I do Halloween, I got 2 buckets. One bucket is all the good stuff. So that's your Hershey bars, your Kit Kats, your Jersey Milks, that stuff. I also buy a bunch of rockets because, frankly, if there's going to be leftovers, that's kind of my thing. Pure sugar. Shocking, right? From the guy who lives on Pink Whitney all summer. Randy at Petit Bills was busting my chops about that. You still drinking that Pink Whitney stuff? Yeah. He's like, that's like alcoholic candy. I'm like, yeah. It's awesome. I have such a sweet tooth. But yeah, rockets are my go-to. But I've also got a bucket there for those kids who just, they're too old to be trick-or-treating. I get it. I was that kid once. But they don't even bother putting on a costume. If you at least put on a costume, I'm going to bucket number 1. You're getting a Hershey's or a Snickers or something. If you haven't even bothered to put on a costume, yeah, you're getting the Halloween Kisses or the candy corn or whatever else that is. Yeah. One year, a person handed out Coke cans, says Lisa. Ooh, that's fantastic. I had a neighbor on my street growing up. It was a dentist. And, of course, every single year saw the opportunity to assert himself. Oh, you're going to be eating all kinds of sugary candy. Well, here, have yourself a wonderful toothbrush. No, I hated that house. Kelly just brought up, where is it? She dropped these off for me ages ago. Do not hand out splooshies. First off, I don't think you would because they come in like they're a huge bag of, what are splooshies? Okay, here we go again. Sploosh. Yes, I still have them. Splooshies are these things. Okay, so you basically I don't know what a box of these costs, but they're about that size. So that's the pineapple one. Do not hand these out. These are absolutely disgusting. If you were here when I tried them on the air, dear God, they are brutal. Let's see here. See what I'm talking about? If your kid, okay, if you're watching on social media, if you're just listening to the audio portion of this, it's not making much sense. I'm holding up, what is this one? This is I'm going to say jalapeno pepper one. It looks like something you would buy at an adult store. Suffice to say, if your kid ended up with that in their trick-or-treat bag, I don't think you'd be too pleased with their trick-or-treat things. By the way, these are absolutely horrible. There's see what I mean? Like if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on Twitch, if you're watching on YouTube, etc., on Twitter, they look like little butt plugs. Let's just call a spade a spade. Maybe this is what I do with the remainder of the bag, Kelly, is wait for those kids who are way too old to be showing up for Halloween and don't have a costume on, and send them home with a splooshie. Anyway, these are called splooshies, juicy jelly splooshies. You basically bite the end off, and then you're supposed to eat the liquid out of them. I don't recommend it. How do I describe it? It is incredibly sweet, lumpy, cringeworthy. Absolutely gross. Anyway, so what are you going to hand out this Halloween if you're doing Halloween? And the other thing I would love to find out, and this is where I would really love for you to call in or click the link and join us via video. Have you ever been around a ghost? Have you actually experienced a ghost in real life? Have you? I'd love to hear your ghost stories as we get closer and closer to Halloween here. 613-604-6464 if that's easier for you, or click the link. But yeah, ghost stories. Have you ever experienced a ghost? Lisa says yes, but doesn't give us any details. Lisa, I need details on this. What was your ghost experience? Julie, yeah, but I have a meeting in 5 minutes. Julie, cancel the damn meeting. This is more important. We need your ghost story, damn it. Okay, people are saying yes. Yes, but give me details. I want details. My parents swear that the house I grew up in, they always felt there was something in the hallway at all times. We didn't know this as kids, but in later years they would say, "Oh, we never felt comfortable in that house." And I would love to talk to the neighbors and see if, or sorry, not the neighbors, but the people who bought the house from us, did they experience anything like it? We got a phone call this morning. Good morning. Who's this?
It's Kelly. Good morning.
Kelly, yay! So, what are we talking about with you? Are we talking about ghost stories?
Sure.
Okay. So you have experienced a ghost.
More than one.
Okay.
First ghost encounter was at my previous home. And we lived on farming property, and it was an old farmhouse. And there was a farming gentleman, as far as I could call him, and he would walk through the front hall, tip his hat, look at me as to say good morning.
You would actually see him do that?
Yes, I would totally see him do that. And nobody else had ever seen him. And I was like, okay, is this a shadow thing? But it was a comforting feeling. I expressed it to my mother. She was certain it was her father. And I was certain it was, an old gentleman from years gone by. And I just happened to be on his property. And when my daughter was 3, she stopped dead in her tracks in the hallway, looked at me and said, "Mama, what's that old farmer man doing in our farm?"
Come on.
No, seriously. It was the verification I needed that I hadn't been just dreaming this. And my child, and they say children see and feel this more than we as adults do. So I felt comforted. She felt comforted. I said, "Oh, he's just here and he takes care of us." And when we sold the house, I was told I had to release him from his duties of taking care of us, or he would follow us quite possibly. So
how do you release a ghost?
I sat down in the room and I spoke to him, not seeing him, but I knew my connection was in that front room with him. And I told him he'd done a great job. We no longer needed his protection, and he was free to move on to another family. And we moved in with my parents while we were building a house. Day one, my mom says to me, "What kind of tobacco did he smoke? Because there's something in my pantry."
What?
Yeah, he followed us, and it was a pipe. So the story
out of nowhere, a pipe appeared in your mom's pantry.
No, the smell of tobacco.
Oh, just the
constantly
smell.
The smell of tobacco. And she said her father smoked a pipe, but we couldn't determine. And I said, it's old time smoke smell. It's not something you currently buy. she agreed with me. So we actually went and bought several different brands and lit it up to see if we could recreate the smell that we both experienced. Right? So it came and went a few times while we lived with them for 6 or 8 months.
Wow.
And then nothing. Fast forward, my daughter goes in for surgery. We're talking like 8 years forward.
Okay.
Coming home from surgery in the car. All three of us looked at each other in the car. Tobacco in our car.
In the car?
The smell of tobacco for like a 3-mile period on the highway. Winter, windows up. And we knew he had found us again for a time we needed him.
See, that's unusual because I think anytime you hear ghost stories or stories about ghosts, it tends to center around a physical structure. Like a car would be something that, like ghosts tend to haunt, I think, if you believe in such thing. And I think I kind of do. But they tend to gravitate to things that were part of their life. No?
Do not know. But I felt it was a ghost taking care of me, and I needed the support. And it gave it to me when I needed it. And I'm not going to lie, when I have had my hitchhiker, is what I call him now. And there are probably a handful of times I have had my traveler in the car with me, and my daughter will turn over and go, "He's here." And I'm like, "Yep." And then 5 miles later, we're like, "We're good."
Wow. That's a lot more real. So yeah, I started out telling that. So my parents always believed that there was they could see somebody in the hallways of the house I grew up in. And I've had an opportunity to talk to the people that live in the house now. And of course, I don't want to freak somebody out and go, "Hey, by the way, do you see ghosts in there?" Because we sure do, right? Not a conversation, but like, so and we were talking about this on our Zoom call, the family Zoom call on Sunday. There was an attic access panel. Like, the house was built in 71, so fairly new, all things considered. And there was an attic access panel right outside my brother's bedroom. And
never would have had that bedroom.
Really?
No, that would have scared the bejesus out of me.
But we never saw it open. Never. And then one morning we get up. One morning we get up, and guess what? The panel is up and inside the attic. Like, there's no way.
Wow.
There's no way one of the kids could have done it, right? Because it's 8 feet up there. Plus, you got to push it up another foot, 2 feet before it goes. Like, what would we stand on? The toy chest? Like we're 3 foot nothing. We're kids. So that's one example. I used to fall asleep, like as a kid, and if I was going through, a hard time at school or whatever else, if I was having a hard time falling asleep, I could hear this sweeping sound. It was very soothing. It was always very, very comforting. And it was years later that I was actually, when I was first dealing with depression, and I was looking at all options for solutions, I went to see a Reiki master who looked at me very matter-of-factly and said, "It's an old man who follows you around." And I said, "Well, that makes sense, because I always felt it was my grandfather who died just before my 2nd birthday." And she went, "No. And he's not sweeping, by the way. He's wearing slippers." And I said, "Oh." I said, "Yeah, no, it doesn't sound." I said, "It couldn't be slippers because we had carpeting." And she laughed at me. She's like, "Yeah, things that make sense in the spirit world do not make sense here in the physical world. It's an old man in slippers."
So your ghost wasn't around a structure. It was around you.
Well, it was around the house, though, because Mom and Dad certainly sensed it. My brothers kind of just look at us like we're crazy when we talk about it.
And he never followed you anywhere else? You haven't seen him in your adult life?
I hoped. Years ago, the house was for sale. And we went to the open house, which, first off, side note, absolutely freaky, because we sold it in 87. We would have looked at it. It would have been in the 2000s. We looked at it because, with my wife and my youngest brother and his wife went with us. They hadn't even changed so much as the curtains.
Oh man.
Like it was like the house. Like I said, the house was built in 1971. It had like the orange countertops, and like the wet bar and like the little bathroom, at the side of the house. And like mom and dad years ago, like went to Pascal's. Remember Pascal's? And
For sure.
they found little orange knobs for the cabinets. Like if the knobs cost them 12 cents, I'd be shocked, right? Even the little orange knobs were still on there. Anyway, so yeah, I walked around there thinking, okay, I'm here to see the house because that's cool. But where is that protector? Where is that ghost spirit? Please come with me. And like in my head, I can't say it out loud because people are gonna think I'm crazy. But in my head, I'm like, yeah, come with me. Come with me. I need you. Anyway, didn't.
I've also had animal spirits revisit me.
Okay.
My late husband had a cat that did not like me. And after we were married, the cat was put down and I was alone in the bedroom of the family home where this cat was. And I was like kicking the cat away at my feet. And I was like, oh my God, there's no cat. It was like circling my legs. I swear it was making an apology to me.
Interesting. I have felt the spirit of my late dog Seamus.
Okay. I believe animals are really in tune.
Yep.
To that.
I believe I have watched my cat. This is before we adopted our latest dog, Kelty. And I believed for a long time that my cat was actually seeing him as well and sensing him and just the way the cat would move and where the cat would move to. It was just like when Moo and Seamus would play together. And I swear when we brought Kelty into the house, there was just I didn't see anything, but there was a conversation that I felt I was part of. That just, maybe it's just my psychology or my brain just telling me that, like this is okay. I don't know.
Right.
Because, you're apprehensive about that, but you've actually heard from you like spirit animals, like you
totally. And we had a beagle that we had put down when my daughter was maybe 3 or 4. And it was a late at night situation. And maybe 5 a.m, I get a phone call from a girlfriend saying, I have just driven past your house and there is a white dove on your roof. I totally took that to be that my beagle had moved on.
Now you say your late husband. Have you had any experiences? Like, has he haunted you? Have you experienced?
Not at all. Not at all. I've reached out. None of that has happened. I have had connection with my late father for sure. New Year's Eve a few years ago, bad snowstorm. My husband was out with my daughter at a friend's place. I chose to stay home. 11 o'clock, I'm out shoveling. I shovel for like 2 hours. I come inside. I text my mom, Happy New Year's, whatever. She says, what did you do? I explained I was shoveling. She goes, it took you that long? I said, I finished shoveling. I looked at my half-assed job and I said, this isn't right. And I went back and tidied up. My mom says, did you square off the snowbanks and put imprints of your shovel up and down the laneway? And I'm like, how the hell did you know this? She said, that was your father. I lost my father when I was a kid.
Wow.
And his way of shoveling, Mom said, was to make it perfect. So dial back that night. I'm like, and the tobacco was on my front porch the whole night. So I don't know. I'm in tune with something. I believe there's something there. I'm not obsessed with it, but every experience I have had has been comforting.
Interesting.
So that's what I wish on people. I don't wish a haunting of a negative energy. Can I continue? I have one more story.
Go for it. Sure. Listen, nothing but time here. And by the way, I've just come to find out It's been a week since I've been on with Lowell Green. The setup for this show is exactly the same as Lowell Green. I kind of forgot to stream this to the radio station. It was streaming to it was streaming to Facebook. It was streaming all over the place, everywhere. Yeah, except for the radio station and the app. It is now. So my apologies to all who was sitting there going, you know what? I'm gonna blame it on, there was a ghost. There was a ghost in the studio, and I pulled the fader down. Yeah,
that's funny. So I take my daughter away for spring break to Blue Mountain. We go skiing, vacation. But we really don't ski. So, the chalet lifestyle, all that. My cousin has a home at the top of Blue Mountain, right at the chairlift. We decide we're going to hunker down. My daughter's 15 at the time. We're just going to have a good mom and kids time. Nice cabin, wood stove. Day 2. I'm rinsing something out in the kitchen sink.
Okay.
I feel cold surround me.
Mm-hmm.
I turn to my left. There is a young girl, I would say maybe 12, in a striped shirt, and it was like a graduating pattern of fuzziness on the rainbow motif. I'd say she was from like 1970. It was a very hippie type shirt.
Okay.
And long string. It was vivid. And she was standing with me in the kitchen.
Ooh.
I grabbed a hold of the counter and I turned away to the sink, caught my breath, turned back, and she was gone. I yelled for my daughter, who was in a nearby room. She came, she looked at me, and she said, "You are visibly altered." Something happened to me. And I, looking back, think it could have been an accident at the ski slope or somebody who lived in the home. I don't know. But she was coming to me because I was mom.
I'm fascinated by the fact that you have such like you've had visual contact with ghosts in your house. By the way, we're talking about Halloween. We're talking about ghosts. Kelly's on the phone, 613-604-6464. If you got a great ghost story, once Kelly hangs up, and she will, you are welcome to call in.
I'm not doing anything for the next hour. You're
or click the video link and you can pop on via video. But I'm fascinated by this. I've sensed things, I've heard things, and I've, like I said, I've experienced, like the panel to the attic. But I never saw anyone do it. The other weird thing that happened in our house is my sister, who's now estranged from the family, but she had a pair of little black patent shoes that I guess were bought for, I don't know, first communion or something. And for years, Mom would be, where are the what did you do with these shoes? Where did these shoes go? They went missing. And all of a sudden, one day, there they were, sitting right beside each other, in perfect fashion in the linen closet, out of nowhere, and as high up in the linen closet as you could possibly go. So, we had little freaky things like that around. Mom and Dad saying they sensed someone, but you actually see people and can describe the clothes they're wearing. That fascinates me and scares the crap out of me too.
It was the colors in this shirt that were so vivid, and her hair and her eye color. I can still see her as though it was yesterday.
Wow.
And my daughter is panicking. We're leaving the mountain tonight. So then there's the gather up the stuff and head for a hotel. She was not going to stay 1 minute longer. It just freaked her out too much. And I said, okay, but I've got to shut down the wood stove. I've got to secure the house, kill the hot tub, on and on. And I said, stop following me. My daughter was holding on to my waistband, wandering. She didn't want to be alone. And I said, park yourself somewhere, for God's sake, stand still. And the spot she chose was the exact spot that the ghost had been in.
Okay.
I was like, I cannot tell her that.
So I think the overall consensus is ghosts are real. A lot of people in our various chat platforms today have experienced ghosts. I don't think anybody has seen quite what you've seen, though, to that detail. Like my sister Linda, thank you. She says, I would have moved out of the house in 2 minutes. Jesus. Yeah. So Linda, I'm right there with you. I can't, I can't even walk through a cemetery without becoming like, I'm afraid of all the ghost stories and stuff I guess I heard at Boy Scout camp and whatever else have traumatized me. So interesting. Kelly,
I've actually seen the ghosts walk through the cemeteries. Like I've walked at night.
You're not helping. You're not helping at all.
I think open your mind. It's not all negative. It's comforting if those before us want to still stay with us. Why is that bad?
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay.
Again, a lot of it is probably,
well,
just the bad stories that you hear, right? So.
Well, yeah. And, if your former childhood home ever goes up for sale again, count me in and I'll go with you.
Okay. I'm happy to say that I do know that the people that own it now have completely renovated it and appear to have done some amazing things. I can't imagine that those orange knobs are still in a little powder room. Anyway, I would have loved to have taken them out of there. Just a little memento. Kelly, thank you for sharing this with us. I think
you're welcome.
Yes, and
come on.
Will you be handing out treats this Halloween?
Undecided. I have a problem of doing it as a door alone. If I can convince a girlfriend or something to come by.
Got it.
I just don't. Yeah, it's an unnerving feeling of. So, hey, Chrissy, if you're listening, what are you doing on Halloween? Maybe come to my door.
Chrissy Security at large. Kelly, thanks for calling the show. The first ever.
Okay.
Let me just say this about that. Appreciate it very, very much.
Okay. Have a great day, guys.
Bye, Kelly. Back to the bathtub for Kelly. There you go. Kevin says, ever notice there are specific people who see spirits? Yeah, Kevin, you know what? You're right. It seems to be like there are people who do, and then there are people who are just, like, no. Martin swears that his wife. Oh, sorry. I thought Martin was about to swear that his wife could see ghosts. My wife and I will be handing out treats. Right on. And that's actually, Martin lives not far from where I used to live. Maybe I'll send my ghost over for some, Martin. Hi to your wife, by the way, Martin and Kelly. Great folks. Tara, I had to tell him to go back to HPMCG to get ready for his funeral or his wife would be mad. You actually told a ghost to go back to the funeral? Wow. Ghost stories as we head towards Halloween. So, will you be handing out candy? Will you be participating in Halloween last year? Because that was the big thing last year, right, with COVID. The first of many. Thanksgiving didn't happen, and then it's not safe to send the kids out. And now we're hearing, like I said, talk from the provincial government saying, we have a plan in place where we can manage this, and we expect to be out of it by March. So things like Halloween. And I think we're all being responsible enough now, touch wood. I hope we're all being responsible enough now that, we can do Halloween safely. I don't think you need to have kids like into your front hall. I don't think you need to be right up on them. I love some of these people who design things with like, they take like plumbing pipes and connect them. They create these, like little chutes for the treats to go down, or they have like a ghost with a bucket on the bottom of it on like a clothing line, and they're able to string that down to the kids. I love that. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's a combination of COVID and I live on a little court, and like we've gone from like 200 kids to like 30 kids. Is it even worth it? I don't know. More ghost stories. Thank you for these, by the way. This is a new thing I'm trying here. It's called Let Me Just Say This About That. And hey, you can say this about that if you'd like as well. More on Tara's ghost experience, who she sent back to the funeral home or his wife would be mad. He was standing at the foot of my bed, wrapped in the shroud we left him in the cooler, just staring at me. Ooh. Okay. Yikes. Linda will be handing out candy in the laneway and hoping BTR has spooky music to play through the speakers through the window. It's a BTR tradition. Absolutely, you can count on us for some spooky, scary music on Halloween. But I'm interested in more ghost stories from you. So, I mean, I told the experience to a Reiki person years ago as I was just beginning my getting assistance for my mental health breakdown, etc. And I swear this is my grandfather, and sweeping, and it's just his way of letting me know that he's around, whatever else. She says, no, it's not your grandfather, but it is an old man, and those are slippers you're hearing. And so we had this conversation, and I sort of went, yeah, I don't really know if I believe that. And then I saw her eyes. They looked just over my left shoulder. Like all of a sudden, you know how when you're like on a patio at a restaurant and the person you're sitting with, realizes that the server is behind you, but you don't, that kind of eye movement. So she did that. And I swear, just like Kelly described moments ago, I felt this extreme. First off, I felt someone, not something. I felt someone touch my elbow, and there was just this instant cold, which was weird because there was nothing around that could create cold all of a sudden. Like we were on a balcony. So there was that experience, but again, didn't see anybody. Somebody else on the phone to share a ghost story. Good morning.
Good morning, John. It's Bram.
It's Bram. Okay, cool. So yeah, your wife is, well, I know you're in our chat as well, and you're posting some of your experiences. So tell us about the ghost you've seen, Bram.
Well, I'm very down to earth. I think there is more between heaven and earth than we can see, but I've never so much believed in ghosts or whatever.
Okay.
But about 4 years ago, I was driving on in December. It was the 4th of December on a rural road between Athens and Brockville. S-turns, and it was with foggy patches, and I go up a slight hill, and suddenly in the mist I saw a guy standing in the middle of the road looking at me. I can still see him clearly. Dark gray hair, unshaven face, leather coat open, a bit a bum or a hobo type. So I slammed the brakes and I almost came to a standstill, and he suddenly was gone. So
that's like every haunted movie, like the beginning of every haunted movie we've ever seen. But you've lived this.
I accelerated, and about 100 meters further on, in the next fog patch, again the guy. But then he was walking in the same lane as I was driving. He was just looking over my shoulder, suddenly carrying a kind of a bag, the one that horses have to eat out, more, maybe for his belongings or whatever. He looked around my shoulders, and he then just vanishes in the fog. And up till today, I cannot think, is he real, is the ghost or whatever. So I tell my wife, Sarah, the story, and she says, where? I said, on that road. She said, where exactly on that road? I told her where. I said, that's the part of the road where a lot of accidents happen, where people die. I said, okay. He didn't look like he was wounded, but it was so real.
See,
if you would tell me,
I'm with you. I would expect if I saw a ghost who was like hit by a car, or saw a spirit or whatever. As you say, you don't believe in ghosts, but I would expect, if they were like run over by a car, I would see, their arm hanging off, or not to be morbid and not to be disrespectful, but but the fact that. Yeah, I think most of these stories we hear like that, the image that you see, they are intact. They are fine.
Yeah. This is so real. I always believe there's more between heaven and earth than we could see. I'm now more likely to believe in ghosts and in sightings or whatever. This is so real. I still have the feeling that I would have opened my window. I could have talked to him. I might even have touched him if I could have come close enough.
But you didn't. So what is it that made you stay in the car and not get out?
Well, because he disappeared. I slammed on the brakes. I stopped. And then I was thinking, what the heck? Because I really thought it was real.
Yep.
And by the time, before I could do anything, he was gone. So I slowly accelerated. And then there he was again, looking over his shoulder with a look in his eyes.
But nothing told you get out of the car and go looking for this thing. This person?
No, because it was fog patches, but it wasn't that foggy that he could have wandered off in the fog as a real person without me seeing that. It was just 1 second he was there, for 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then suddenly, poof,
See, Brom, I think I would be like you. I would see that and I would go, okay, I need to get my ass out of here, and I would get my ass out of there, and it would probably be 5-10 minutes down the road. I'd be going, why didn't I get out and look for that person? Like,
yeah. Well, I actually never thought about. Not you're telling me now. Yeah, I could have done that, but I never thought about that. Get out of the car and go looking for him, because
interesting.
I sensed that it wasn't a real person. He looked like a flesh and blood type human being, but I just sensed, okay, I see him, but he's not real. He can't be there.
See, this is like Ken just had a comment. He's like, come on, too many people are remembering movies they watched back in the 90s. And that's kind of what I said when you first called in. This sounds like the beginning of every bad horror movie we've ever seen.
Well, I've been a long time walking on this earth already. I've seen a lot of horror movies.
Yep.
Seen a lot of Halloween movies. I have never seen this image, as far as I can tell, in a movie. It's not some reliving a movie of the 80s, 70s, whatever.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
All right.
It is very interesting. Yeah.
I still don't know. Okay. Are you the kind of person who would hang out in a cemetery?
I won't say I hang out at the cemetery, but if you ask me to go to the cemetery at 12 at midnight or 3 o'clock at night, I have no problem.
Okay. So I do. I can't do that. You're braver than I am.
No, I have no problem.
Just I got goosebumps just thinking about no. I mean, the number of times I've dated someone is let's just we're looking for a place to go make out. Oh, let's go to the cemetery. Hell no, I don't know why. I can't.
As a kid, I'm talking about 10 to 30 years. We used to play on cemetery.
No,
we had a little cemetery in our neighborhood, an old one. And we just play hide and seek on the cemetery. I can barely be in a cemetery if I'm paying respects to a deceased. I really can't. Hey, those tombstones are big. That's a great place to hide behind when you're doing hide and seek.
In comes Satan's playmate in our chat. She's like, oh, I owned a haunted house. Have no problem with spirits. That, I think, is probably a whole conversation unto itself, Satan's playmate. I think we need to get you on tomorrow for the entire show. Bram, thanks for sharing that with us. I appreciate it very, very much. And will you guys be handing out, I know you're in rural Kempville. Will you guys be handing out treats this Halloween?
We will go into downtown Kempville, in the village, with Finn and some of his buddies to go trick-or-treating indoors. If we do it out here in rural, I'd be walking for miles and get to 2 or 3 houses.
Yeah, but think how tired young Finn would be after it all, right? So there's that. My best to your...
can go to the place where he can go from door to door.
My best to your lovely bride and to our good buddy Finn. Happy Halloween. Thanks for sharing your story, Bram. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right, ghosts. Are they real? Are they not? I have to believe that they are. Now, I've not had any. I've not seen one. Like I said, I've certainly just sensed it. But ghost stories leading up to Halloween. These are kind of fun, kind of freaky, kind of creepy. Kelly, I'm not sure that I want to be hanging around with you. You seem to see. I do want to hang out with Kelly because she's fun, but she's appears to have seen and experienced things that I'm not sure I want to. And that kind of creeps me out. We've got room for one more quick phone call if anybody is so inclined. The Haunted Walk in Kingston, Chrissy says. Anyone go there? I've not done actually, I have done Kingston. Yes, I did do Kingston and the Ottawa one as well. It's the Toronto one I haven't done, but would like to. My niece just did that a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact, which is what prompted this conversation today. The downtown Toronto one. I guess the same people run the Ottawa, the Kingston, and the Toronto one. Toronto would be interesting. There's got to be some scary stories out of Toronto. Yeah. As wimpy as I am about the whole cemetery thing, and I don't know why I'm so nervous. Why am I so nervous about spirits? Maybe like Ken said, it all boils down to I've seen one too many movies. I don't know. Your mind playing tricks on you? But then I spend a little time watching things like Detour TV, and they've got like these haunted house teams that go in, and they like record conversations they have with ghosts, etc. And I can't turn that stuff off. There's just something about it that compels me. All right. Well, there you go. I thank you very much for sharing your ghost stories, for being part of the first ever Let Me Just Say This About That, which, by the way, will be available on its own podcast channel. The videos will be up on YouTube. The videos will be on Facebook. They will be on Twitch for you to watch again on demand. And yes, we have created a podcast channel just for Let Me Just Say This About That. Boom.